Good morning. It is good morning here. My name is Rob Newsom. I'm a director at PKF-VGA, and our section really does the internal audit and risk management work. We like to call ourselves that we do the non-attest assurance. In other words, we don't sign accounts, but we actually sort of do a lot of assurance. And we live by our motto: we want to be part of the surgery and not the autopsy. Today, I'd just like to discuss a little bit of a case study of the sort of work that we do that we found exceptionally interesting. This relates to work we did for the SAPS, the police, where we were engaged to count and value all the network assets of the police. When I say all, we had to go to every single police station in the country and go and validate if they had the equipment or count the equipment that they had. So this actually became a very interesting logistical item to deal with. And you say, well, auditors and logistics, not good, but yeah, we have to. The internet and maps, Google Maps helps a lot. So we had to plan our routes that went sort of starting in, let's say, KZN, we'd start in Durban, go up the north coast, sort of across to Newcastle, and then sort of skirt round and see how many of the police stations we could do. We even went up to Sani Pass to do that one. And it was quite an adventure getting these teams going around the country, tagging the assets. And because of technology, we were able to scan the asset directly, and it would go into a central database where we could say, right, we've ticked them off and counted them. Then we had another interesting element, because the Auditor General had qualified the previous year's financial statements based on fixed assets not being complete. So we then said, okay, well, we can do that. So we did the physical. And then at the last minute, they said, please, can you do a valuation? So we had to fortunately use the GRAP allowed valuation, which is basically current market value that you can write back for the years that the asset is in place. So we're able to do that through an algorithm on all of the, I think it was about 88,000 assets that we found, and we're able to do the valuation, all in time for the next auditors, or Auditor General. And what I liked was that they didn't have a qualification. So not only did we do it thoroughly, we did it quickly, and everybody had said we couldn't do it, but we did. And I think that's sort of a challenge, and activities that we're doing makes internal auditing very, very interesting, because as the external audit, you don't get to go to everywhere and count radios and assets and other in remote places. So we had a real tour of the world. I think there was something like 2,500 or so police stations we went to. Of course, we had to do the headquarters and the head offices and whatever else. That's sort of normal and fairly easy. But also actually finding out what some of these routers and other things are, how the assets are actually configured to make them work. So it was really interesting. I felt that was a really great work that we did, and just demonstrates how well auditors can play a role in doing this sort of work. Another example which I would like to share with you, which I think is also quite interesting, is where we get involved with some forensic type activity. And it's more of an investigation than a forensic audit where you're trying to find who did it. One of our clients has engaged us to look at how deliveries could be diverted from where they're supposed to go. And doing this was actually quite interesting, because we were engaged for our accounting and auditing skills, as well as just being sort of business smart. And being auditors, they had said, right, we think you can do this. And it was very interesting. Find out sometimes where the trucks went and how the GPS would track them, how the deliveries were invoiced to the client, and also from the truckers to the manufacturing company. So it was quite an interesting work that we were doing, and I thought, okay, that's good for us. It's not just normal procurement, normal financial statements, journal entries, those sort of things. So I think the message I'm trying to get through is that we are able to do a lot of interesting things and a lot of very valuable activities because of our knowledge, our experience, and skills in a practical way that makes sense. We've got these fancy tools for cybersecurity and penetration testing, and they really work well. And we're getting amazing results because the thing with cybersecurity is it changes the whole time because the threats keep multiplying. And based on that, I think that we are able to identify a lot of gaps and our software stays up to date, and hopefully our clients can stay maybe just one step behind the cyber crooks. And I think we get a lot of value from that. I know the clients like it, although the IT guy gets all upset because we find too many holes, but rather find the holes and have something happen. So that's some of the work that we're doing. You might be bored of me by now. My children tell me that I get into a lecture voice and they don't listen to me any longer. So contact PKF VGA for all your non-attest assurance activities that you would like. For example, internal audits, risk management, governance reviews, cybersecurity reviews, penetration testing, all sorts of things. So other than external audit, we can do the rest, forensics included. So please reach out to us.